I will be reviewing exercises in your activity book, pages 13, 15, 16, and 17. Please follow along and make sure you have the correct answers in your book. So let's begin. Here we have, it says, use the clue to write questions, then answer them. We are using, in this exercise, we are using the present simple, which is المضارع البسيط. And how do we form it? إذا كان نسأل عن اسم شخص أو شيء نستخدم أحد الأفعال be, which are am, is, or are. وإذا كان نسأل عن فعل أي عام يقوم ب الشخص أو الشيء نستخدم do للجمع والضمير I أو does للمفرد. Okay, so we know the present simple, be plus subject plus base form. Be is am, is, and are. And for the auxiliary, do or does plus the subject plus the base form. So for the present simple, we must remember for the affirmative sentences, for the singular, for the plural, I, you, we, and they, we use just the subject with no s. And then he, she, it, for the singular, we add an s. For the negative, I, you, we, they, for the negative sentences, we say I, you, we, they, for instance, don't work. He, she, it, we use does not. So does not work. For the question, we use, for the present simple, we use do and does. And for the I, you, we, and they, we do not add a s. And for does, for he, she, and it, for the singular, he, she, it, we use no s. Okay, so remember the question, do and does, and the negative sentences, don't and does not. And affirmative for I, you, we, they, we do not add an s. For he, she, it, we do add an s. Okay, so let's begin. Number 1 is done for us. Number 2, we have red color, people relaxed or excited. Here, because we have the red color, يعني هون نسأل عن الفعل make. Okay, so we're asking for make. So does the red color make people relaxed or excited? And you can answer the red color makes people excited. So here for the red color we use does للمفرد because we have the red color. مفرد, we're talking about اللون الأحمر الواحد. Number 3, people usually in casual or formal clothes business meeting. Do people usually wear casual or formal clothes to business meetings? And the answer would be people usually wear formal clothes to business meetings. And now we're getting these answers from our prior articles. So here we use do للجمع because we have people جمع, so that is why we put do in the beginning of this question. Number 4 says charity shop, usually things that people make, and this is a question. So for charity, هي مفرد, we're talking about one thing. So we are using, that's why we said for للمفرد we use does. So it becomes, does a charity shop usually sell things that people make, is a question. And then from our prior articles we know, no, it doesn't. It usually sells things that people donate. Number 5, we have types of clothes in a football match. So we know اللي عليه خط, the clothes that I have underlined is جمع because it's more than one. It's more than one clothes because we have an S. So we put what type of clothes do you wear in a football match? And then the answer would be, I usually wear casual and comfortable clothes in a football match. Here الأسئلة عن الفعل wear يعني يلبس. So that's why we used what in a question. Number exercise 6, here we have just a crossword puzzle, and we know how to do that. You read the definition, and that's how you find the word. And they've given you a clue. They have like the first letter of each word. So very quickly, a person who you work with, we know is a colleague. And colleague in Arabic is zamil. 2, clean, attractive, and stylish. We know from our vocabulary words who was smart, and smart means unique. 3, something that you wear on your head. We know from our vocabulary words it's a headdress. يعني الغطاء الراس, I believe. 4, excellent and worth following as an example, and we know from our vocabulary words that's exemplary, and in Arabic it is qudwa. Number 5, the way a person behaves. We know that it is conduct, and conduct in Arabic is يتصرف يعني تصرفه. Number 6, rules or principles of behaviors. Yani everyone, we all have our own principles, and we all follow our own rules, maybe from our parents, maybe from our school, maybe from our work. So that هو يعني it's called ethics in English. In Arabic it is أخلاقيات, I believe. And number 7, what is the word for number 7 down? And we know from completing the whole crossword, it's garment. Garment هي قطعة أواعي يعني لباس. Our next page 15. Page 14 I do not want, that's why I skipped it. Page 15, here we have punctuation. كيف تركيز على الكتابة, we're focusing on the writing, and اللي هو مراجعة القواعد التركيم يعني punctuation. So here we have, if you forgot what we're talking about, please go back to my punctuation video. In exercise 1, we have rewrite the passage in your notebook using capital letters, full stop, commas, and apostrophes as necessary. So هم معطينا small article وفيها أخطاء، لازم نحط capital letter، لازم نحط full stop، لازم نحط comma and apostrophes in it, as I've done. So here we have I've lived in the countryside all my life in the cold days of January. So here we have I. We know that I, the beginning of the sentence, we must capitalize it, and we must put a apostrophe when we contract two words. يوم نجمع كلمتين, like I have lived in the countryside all my life. احنا جمعنا I have into one word and it became I've. So we must put capital I, apostrophe VE. And January must be capitalized. Why? Because هو اسم, يعني it's an ism, so we must capitalize it. And then full stop after January. الحروف اللي هو من الأسماء الأيام أو الأشهر, we must capitalize it. Like I said, January حروف must be capitalized. And the ضمير I always is capitalized wherever it's at. And then we have a full stop اللي هي نقطة after January. My village is smaller, quieter, and less busy than big cities in my country. Here we have my, we know that it must be capitalized. My أي جملة مثل my, although, first, وغيرها, أو أسماء, they all have to be capitalized. and then smaller, we must put a comma after smaller because we are talking about more than one thing now. It's smaller, quieter, and less busy. يعني احنا عم نسمي اشياء اللي في القرية هاي. That's why we put comma عشان نفصل، عشان نعرف الريدر انه في رح نحكي عن اشياء تانية. And then we have a full stop after country, although as we said, هي أي جملة that starts with my, although, first, they الحروف الأول من الكلمات الأول في بداية الجملة, we know that it has to be capitalized. So although, and although it gets a bit busy on Fridays كمان هو اسم, أسماء الأيام has to be capitalized. And then we have a comma after Friday. In general, there isn't a lot to do as in the city. Here we also have a comma, but I is capitalized like living here, full stop. First, we know that it has to be capitalized, and then we put a comma. The weather in the countryside is cooler than the city because there are many forests and trees. يعني هلا we put a comma. I have يعني مثلا when we're naming more than one thing, for example, I have a book, pen, ruler. We put I have a book, comma, pen, comma, and a ruler, and ruler. So we're naming things, we must put a comma between them. Around my home, full stop. Second is capitalized, the S is capitalized, and then we have a comma after second, because بعض الأشياء الجملة الطرفية التي تبدأ with although, after, when, before, or first, second, finally, بنضيف لها الكوما. There isn't a lot of traffic, and this means the atmosphere pollution is lower. The T in there is capitalized, and then like we said, there's apostrophe, because we have is and not. We contracted those two, so we put apostrophe between N and T. And then we have a full stop after lower, and then we have a capital for finally, and then we have a comma after finally, again, as I said, and then we have apostrophe, IT apostrophe S, friendlier in the village than in the city because everyone knows everyone else. Full stop. New sentence. One, we have to capitalize the O in one. One day, my brother Omar, we also have to capitalize Omar, O and Omar, because it's a name. And we have to capitalize I, because it's a name. Want to experience life in the bigger place, and I think it's going to be interesting. It's, we have to put apostrophe because we have two words contracting to one. And we put a full stop after interesting. Okay, moving along to exercise 2, and this is linking words, reason and result. يعني عندنا سبب والهدف للسبب. يعني السبب والنتيجة, سبب والنتيجة. So write these sentences again in your notebook. Use so and that to join two sentences into one. هلا make sure تكتبوهم هدول بالدفتر, and نكتب الجملة في الجملة الواحدة نستخدم so that لكي أو because لأن, because يعني that means so that means لكي, and because means لأن. Okay, let's not forget that. هلا القواعد الرابط للجملة عشان نستخدم so that and because, إذا خلت الجملة الثانية من الفعل كان نستخدم because للربط الجملتين عشان نربط الجملتين together. وإذا احتوت الجملة الثانية على كان بنستخدم so that عشان نربط also الجملتين together. So عندما نكتب الجملة الأولى بكلمة نهدف ونحاول إنه الحروف بعدها into capital إلى small. So بنحول capital letters إلى small. So let's begin. 1 is done for us, so 2. She listened carefully to the teacher in class. Full stop. She can do well in her exams. So عشان we want to put these two into one sentence, it becomes she listened carefully to her teacher in class so that she can do well in her exams. Here we have نكتب الجملة الأولى كما هي نكتب so that عشان نكمل كتابة الجملة الثانية. You know, because as we said, we have السبب and we have النتيجة. السبب إنه تستمع للمعلمة عشان تعمل منيح exams تبعونها. Number 3, I have decided to buy a new laptop. My laptop has become slow lately. So these two sentences become, I have decided to buy a new laptop because my laptop has become slow lately. Here we have نكتب الجملة الأولى كما هي ونكتب because ثم نكمل كتابة الجملة الثانية. As we said في سبب ونتيجة. يعني السبب بدي أشتري لابتوب عشان اللابتوب اللي عندي صارت كتير بطيئة ما تشتغل منيح. Number 4. He missed the job interview today. He woke up late this morning. Here we have two sentences. We want to put them in one. So it becomes he missed the job interview today because he woke up late this morning. So بنكتب الجملة الأولى كما هي. We leave it as it is. And then بنكتب because ومنكمل كتابة الجملة الثانية. And then don't forget he becomes a small h. And we remove the full stop after today. Number 5 says, they bought souvenirs from Jordan. They remember the places they've been to there. Here, you know, في جملة 5, you know, المعنى إنه نستخدم so that, you know, رغم عدم وجود كان. Okay, so it becomes they bought souvenirs from Jordan so that they remember the places they've been to there. Yep, so that's a reason and result اللي هو السبب والنتيجة. And take a quick look at this. Excuse me. Make sure your answers are correct. Next page. Here we have spelling. Write the correct letters to complete the words, and these are our vocabulary words. They have given you clues by writing a few letters of the vocabulary words, and you must complete them by reading the smart article they have given you. So, a good employee abides by the rules of the company they work for. يعني you know, a good employee يعني موظف اللي بيستمع للrules يعني he abides by the rules of the company. Number 2, they don't wear they respect both their bosses and their colleagues. They respect both their bosses and their colleagues. Number 2, they don't wear casual clothes if the dress code says otherwise. They don't come late to work and their conduct at work is exemplary. That's pretty easy. There's nothing hard about it. Our next exercise, guiding writing. Here we have write 4 sentences using so that and because. You could write, about your family or your friends. You can write any 4 sentences. يعني اكتب 4 جمل. نستخدم so that. نستخدم because. Any 4. I've written a few for you. I prepare dinner early because we like to eat early. So I use because. Here we have سبب and نتيجة. سبب إنه بطبخ بكير عشان نحب ناكل بكير. I leave early so that I'm not late. Here also we have a reason and result, and I used so that in it. My next one is I asked for water. I asked for water because I was thirsty. Here also we have reason and result, and I used because. You can write any 4 sentences you like. It doesn't have to be these sentences. Okay, our next page, page 17. Here we have complete the text with the correct relative pronouns. Now we're talking again about relative pronouns, which we have already learned about, and I made you a complete video about. If you need to refresh your memory, please go back to the video. And here, Yani, it's like a little quiz about, what we remember from our module. We said that relative pronouns are أسماء الموصولة, and we need to put the correct one in the blank. So let's begin. Most people buy clothes that are classical in style. Here we use that because clothes يعني ملابس غير عاقل وغير مسبق بالفاصلة, so we use that. Second sentence, this is because most people who are celebrities have access to fashionable clothes before they appear in shops. Why did we use who? We used who because we're talking about people which is ناس, and that's للعاقل. للعاقل الغير مسبق بفاصلة بنستخدم who. Okay, so when there is a فاصلة and للعاقل we use relative pronoun who. Our next sentence is when you see famous people whose clothes follow a certain trend, you know this is the recent trend that most people will wear in the near future. Okay, so here we used إذا وقع بالفراغ بين اسمين يعني زي clothes and people نختار whose. Again, إذا وقع بين الفراغين اسمين مثل people and clothes, we need to use whose. WHOSE. And we have trend. Trend in the sentence is يعني إشي الدارج هلا, and trend is غير عاقل وغير مسبق بفاصلة, so بنختار that. That's why we use that for the that most people will wear in the near future. Okay, so the next sentence is a few months later you can walk in the streets where you can find most people wearing the same trend. However, be sure that it won't be long before another trend appears to replace the old one. So we used where because here we're talking about streets. يعني شارع اسم مكان مطبوع مباشرة بفاعل وفعل you can. That's why اخترنا where. Okay, our next exercise. Reorder the words and phrases to make sentences. Here we have words and they're not in the correct order. We need to put them in the correct order. يعني بنركب الكلمات بجملة كاملة. Number 1, a good employee abides by the rules of the company they work for. Here it says يعني الموظف الجديد يلتزم بقوانين الشركة التي يعمل بها. Yep. Number 2, the ثوب عقال and كوفية make up the traditional costume of Jordan. In Arabic, here it says الثوب والعقال والكوفية تشكل الزي التقليدي بالأردن. Number 3, he never wears formal clothes in family gatherings, which means هو لا يلبس لباس رسمي في تجمعات العائلة. Number 4, white is the color that makes people more relaxed. الأبيض لون الأبيض يجعل الناس يعني يجعلهم براحة يعطيهم هيك الراحة. Number 5, cyclists usually wear bright colors so that drivers can see them on the road, which means الدراجين اللي بيركبوا بسكليت بيلبسوا ألوان هيك فاقعة حتى السائقين يشوفوهم أو ينتبهوا عليهم على الطريق. Okay, moving to exercise 3. Choose the correct answer. Now here we are using, we can use relative pronouns, اللي هم that, who, whose. We can use as, and we use, in number 3 we have comparative and superlative, and 4 and 5 we have relative pronouns again. So, tourists like to buy souvenirs that remind them of the places they've been to. Souvenirs يعني التذكاريات and that هو غير عاقل, that's why we chose that. 2, shirts aren't as formal as suits for a business meeting. Why did we choose as formal as? Because المقارنة غير المتساوية نستخدم not ثم نضيف لها as. So that's why we put as formal, because we have not before as. Shirts are not. Number 3, which color is the most exciting among red, white, and black? So here we chose most exciting because we're comparing more than 2 things. For the superlative, we said that we have to put most because we're comparing more than 2 things. Number 4 is it's Adil who deserves to become Employee of the Month this time. Why did we choose who? Because Adil is عاقل, and that's why we chose who. Number 5, most companies usually have rules that tell employees how to behave. Rules يعني قواعد, and that is غير عاقل, and that's why اخترنا that. That's why we chose that. That's that for these exercises on this page. Take a quick look at them. Make sure you have the correct answers. I will bring some of these on the exam. And finally, I have a positive quote for you, and it says, start each day with a positive thought and a grateful heart. Yes, I know we are in hard times now. We are in the corona crisis, quarantine. So let's try to think positive, and let's try to think that we will get through this. One day it will pass, and it will become a memory. And let's be grateful, have a grateful heart that we have our friends and families, and we are in good health. Even if we got sick, or even if we got the coronavirus, we subsided that and we became better. It's not the end of the world. We will get through this, inshallah ala khair. So again, start each day with a positive thought and a grateful heart. Until our next lesson, have a great day. Goodbye.